Okay, welcome. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is to show how to install Windows Server 2022 onto Linode. And I have to admit, the reason why I'm doing this is just when I looked at some of the other videos and I was hoping to get some good information from them, but in the end, like I've had to do many times before, I had to just work it out myself in order to do it properly. Right, so the first thing that we have to do is to actually create an image for the server 2022. And one thing I want to say about this procedure is that, number one, it's not going to be loads of music, and it's not just going to be writing in a text editor. I'm actually going to be explaining what's happening, and because I'm not going to be using a text editor, it's hopefully shouldn't take as long as those other guys when they do it. So first thing that I have to do is to start first thing I have to do is to create the image that I'm going to use. So now this is the command I'm going to use to create it. I'm just going to explain it. So that's the name of it. So I'm using dev0, and the important part is the block size is 1 gig, so it's going to be DD is going to be outputting the information 1 gig at a time, and it's going to put out 19 gigs. And the reason why I've chosen this is because I found that Windows will complain on the installer if you go below a certain size. It will still work, but just thought, I might as well go with their recommended go just above their recommended size. Just so that nothing untoward can happen. So I'll press return on that. And as you can see, I'm on NVMe, obviously, so it won't take long to create that. So now the next thing we have to do is to run that. Run the virtual machine. And I've already done a server 2022 install before. But this with this one, I'm just going to run through it. I'm going to install the VirtIO, but I'm going to show you something later that this isn't necessary. You don't necessarily need this, but it might depend on which provider you're going to install the server 2022 onto. So what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to run this. Okay, so that's the Windows server starting up. I'm just changing this so that I don't get too confused with the keyboard, even though I don't really need to. Yeah, so make sure to choose the desktop one, just so because it's easier to use. And of course, you can only choose advanced, so you can't find any storage. And like I say, this isn't strictly necessary, but I'm just going to go through it anyway. So we're looking for just via. Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I should quickly mention that. Normally, when people are installing the VirtIO drivers, they will use the VirtIO, normal VirtIO, but I'm actually using VirtIO CSI, and there's extra. So this is different from the previous video. So I'm using the device is VirtIO CSI PCI, and then it's SCSI HD. And so then this is the drive, and the reason for that is because the reason I'm doing this is just because Linode, when you boot a Linode, that's the kind of drive it uses. But as you'll find out, it turned out that I was just wasting my time. But I thought, since I did all the research, just in case you need to install a virtual machine using VirtIO SCSI, then this is how you do it. So I thought I'd leave it up there, just in case someone needs that information. So this time it's not VIO store, which is normally what you'd use for Vertio PCI. It's actually VIO SESI, and so we use the 2K22. And as you see, it's found the right one. So it's a Vertio SESI pass-through controller. Because of course, if it was the wrong driver, that wouldn't even show up. You just get no. I can't remember what the message is. Nothing. No drivers found or something. So now we just run the install. And while that's running through this, I'm going to show you something relating to why I'm even doing this video, because I checked some of these videos and I noticed that they seem to be, they had some reasonable information on them. But then when I actually looked at them carefully, I found out that the way that they were providing the image was bogus. And so literally, I don't even know I think there's only one video out there that's actually still, I've come across, which is still valid. All these ones I'm going to show you, none of them are of any use. So they, yes, all these videos here. See, this video is useless. I'm going to show you why if I can. So you create the Linode, yeah, that's nice. And so he's going through all this. This guy's quite slow. I'm going to show you the part where you get killed there. So it takes a long time to create this Linode. Well, they'll say, "Oh, we need money." He says, "Yeah, who cares about you?" And oh yeah, sorry, this is it. Yeah, I realized. Right now, this is right. So this is the important bit. You see here where it's got the stat scripts. He said essentially this video, what he's saying is that this is an easy way of doing it. And yeah, this video is good. And alright, let me get this out of the way. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you this in the meantime while I'm waiting for things to happen on this. Right, so okay, so don't care about that. So managers. So now the important thing with this is that another shouldn't I bother? See, I'm just going to show you something anyway, but it's hard. Yeah, okay, I'll do it anyway. So if you go to Device Manager, yeah, you notice the Ethernet controller is not working. The reason why is because another thing I did was to I've chosen this one for the networking, which is the model is the Vertio Net PCI. So of course Microsoft doesn't know anything about that hardware device because it's open source, isn't it? So we know Microsoft doesn't like open source, not really, because they'd have the driver otherwise, wouldn't they? So what you do is you just double click on that and just do update driver and browse. Then we're looking for that CD that was already attached. And so this one you go, it's actually Net KVM. Yes, it's Vertio. So we won't know because we're going on the internet. So it's a Red Hat Vertio Ethernet adapter. So that's in. So we got our network. Oh, well. Funny enough, we didn't do that last time, but you know how Microsoft is. Right, so now we've got the networking, and so now we're pretty well. The most important thing we have to do, and if you don't do this, then you might as well delete the Linode once you create it and start again. So this part is proper important. You'll go to System, and then we have to go into Remote Desktop, then turn it on. And then the important bit is you have to go into Advanced, because no one's going to have their computer on a domain, are they, when they're at home? So you make sure to take out Require the waste of time level authentication, just proceed. And so now you can connect to it using like normal programs. Right, so now that is ready, and you definitely need to enable that remote desktop, because I'm going to show you something else that came up before. And so now if you shut this down, okay, so now we have the image there, and what we have to do next is to actually compress it. So I'm just going to show you, that's the name of it. So so this image, and like I say, it has to be a proper disk image, not a Qemu, what's it, QCOW2. And so you compress it. Actually, that's pretty fast. So while that's, oh yeah, and I was going to say, all of these videos, they always use gzip. And the thing is, when you're trying to upload something to the internet, any compression extra that you can do saves you time and bandwidth. And especially if you're uploading from your home system and you're not rich and you've got like a gigabit fiber, then you're going to want the best compression you can get. Okay, so I was just going to show you. So this first video, what he's going to do, he's going to choose. Alright, let me go back. I'll let him go through. Let's see if I can. Yes, he's going to show you what to do. So you can go. So you go to Linode, you go to Stack Scripts, Community Stack Scripts, and then he's going to click on. He's going to search for Windows, and then he's going to click on this top one, FVLRN Windows. Now remember that name. So FVIRL Windows, and then all you do is just make some changes, and then you're ready to go. So what he's essentially saying is that then, see, as it says at the bottom, see it says installing Windows on Linode, very easy method. So yes, when you watch the video, the method is very easy, and essentially all you have to do is run that script. Go to that Stack Script, run it, and then once it's finished running, you then just is it running? Yeah, you just connect with Remote Desktop and put in your login, and then you're in. So you think that, looking at that, you think, wow, man, that's so easy. Server, look, server 2 or server whatever, that easy. And so yeah, it's a piece of cake, but I'm going to tell you, you got a surprise waiting for you if you try and follow that video. So, and then these other ones, yeah, I'm going to explain the surprise later. Okay, so that's finished compressing. So you notice that it's a 19 gig file, and I've got it down to 4 gigs. And I can assure you that is smaller than what gzip would have done. So now, what you have to do then is to upload this file to somewhere where you can access it from the internet. And so I already have it on a, already got it on a location. So what I'm going to do is just yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have to create a Linode so that I can actually use. Right, so here we are in the Linode console, and so what we do, if you just do create Linode, and so now I'm just going to select the region which is nearest to me. And for Windows, the most important thing is memory. And so 4 gigs is enough. Yeah, 80 gigs storage. So that 4 gigs is enough to run Windows. We could do, since I'm on the trial plan, we could do 8 gigs. Yeah. Alright, let's do 8 gigs. Because if I was paying for this, I would have chosen the 4 gig one. Just have to enter a password. Okay, so add the SSH key. And then that's it. So everything's already there. Now we don't even need it. So I'm going to create the Linode. And so now while that's creating, to make things a bit easier, because I'm going to just create a volume. It doesn't have to be that big. And you have to make sure it's on the same region that you created the Linode in. Because there's no way you want the data traveling over the internet. And so you're going to select the Linode, so it's the Debian one. And I think 20 gigs is all we actually need, actually. Let me see. Yeah, so we only need 20 gigs. We can't have spaces. The interesting thing about these volumes, sometimes it takes a long time to create them, and sometimes it's quick. I can never work that out. You might think, oh, because it's small. So, well, no. I've had a 200 gig one time it took a few seconds like this, another time it took ages for the same size drive. Okay, so that Linode's up. So I should have given it a better name, but anyway. So now we don't have to care about this IP address, because what we're going to do is going to be starting in a rescue mode. Okay, so now. Right, so now what we're going to do now is to start it in rescue mode, and then I'm just trying to think. There is well anyway, let's just do this part first, because there's something we have to do later, and it's going to be easier doing it later rather than now, just in case it messes up with the booting. Right, so choose that Win2022 import, and so now we just reboot into rescue mode. So now we just got to wait for it to reboot. Okay, so now next thing we have to do is go into this graphical environment called Lish. So it's going to be easier if we go in so we don't click on the wrong one. So now if we launch the Lish console, and unfortunately it's a bit big due to my screen. Yeah, so I'll just have to make sure it doesn't go off the bottom. And now the thing about it is that I'm just going to show you this, is that when you launch it, there's two options you get. This one is the text mode serial console version, and this one is the graphics version. Now there's a big difference between them, and which one you use depends on what you're trying to do. If you want to do something which is long running, then you should always use this graphics one, because even if the connection drops, whatever's on this screen will always be running. It doesn't go away regardless of your connection. But anything which is on here because this is a serial console, if this disappears or you lose the connection, then anything on here you actually lose. But there is a way around that, and the reason I'm using this one is due to the fact that the keyboard works better in this, and you can paste into here. Obviously the graphics one you can't paste into it. So now I'm going to have to check which drives I've got. Right, so now, so the SDD, that's our sort of little image that we're using, and the SDA is the main drive that we're going to try and copy onto. So now, what I have to do is to format the SDD. Actually, because it's so small, I'll use X2, so a lot easier. Because it doesn't have a journal either. Make sure you get the right one, even though it doesn't actually matter, because even if you wipe out SDA, it doesn't make any difference. Okay, so that's created. So now we just got to make a directory so that we can mount it onto, and then we have to mount it. And we go in there, and as long as you got as long as you got that lost and found, that means you're actually inside the other file system. So now what I have to do is this image that we created previously of the server 2022, I have to download it. So now I've stored it on my server. So now so all you have to do is just type the command. Just put in the link for where you're going to download it from. And this is why it always comes in handy to have your own web server somewhere on the internet, because you definitely always need stomachs to do things like this. Because there's no way you can do proper like, you know, proper things like this without a server on the internet. And the only thing I was after was just the name. Yes, you can paste stuff in here, but the glist one you can't. And the other thing is, you might see in some of these videos where they actually will download, they will pull it over from the internet and they put it straight onto the drive. And you see, they have to do that because they don't have a local drive to actually to store it onto. But I find it's easier doing it this way, where you have somewhere to store it, because just in case you might end up in a situation where you're pulling it from somewhere with a bad internet, and all you have to do is you then have to segment the file into multiple pieces. So then you'd have to pull the pieces over. Yeah, and you can't pull the pieces over while you're DDing it straight to the drive. And I mean, the other reason I did this is just because this is how I normally do it. Because when I'm like uploading things, you know, you have to copy the image somewhere before you upload it. And so this is more just because of what I'm used to. So, alright, so this isn't taking too long. Because like I say, this is a server which I've got on the internet. So of course the connection speed is going to be much faster. Unless you, of course, you're one of the rich guys with the gigabit fiber. Then yeah, of course, you're going to get a pretty decent, well no, actually this is, yeah, gigabit, yes, it's 500 megabits copying speed. Alright, so that's copied over. So now if you're just going to just check the the drive again, sorry, the partitions. So we're trying to copy this image onto SDA, and that's the name of the image. So the command that we want, and remember I said that this has 4 CPUs. So we want to, and this is the other advantage with doing it this way rather than using gzip, is that XZ actually you can use multiple CPUs. So it's XZ cat, and then if you do T0, that's the amount of threads it uses. And so because it's cat, it's going to cap the file, which is the server, and then we're going to send that to DD, and just out file is dev SDA. Make sure you put the block size in, because that gives you, makes it run faster. And you want to know, oh, actually, yeah. Now, what I was going to say is the reason why I pause there is because I'm actually doing, alright, let me do this, because someone might do this, and then they might say, why didn't you tell me that this could have happened? So, alright, so I'm going to do that then. So what I'm going to do, so essentially what the problem is that it could be the case that the connection could reset. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you, what can happen. So but to avoid that, what you should really do is to run screen. So when you run screen, now, so I can run that command. So now it's copying it across. Yeah, I mean, it's not too bad, but remember it is 19 gigs, so it's going to take a little bit of time. So now if you're sitting there while this is going, and this Weblish decides it wants to, so I'm going to just, well, I'm going to show you, I'm going to crash it. So it decides it's going to crash on you, and you think, oh no, I'm in trouble. So notice what will happen is if you go back to the Lish console, it will launch. Actually, can I make this smaller? Looks like I can. Oh, I'm surprised. Okay, so it looks like I was wrong. It was it does recover, but anyway, it's I'd say it's still a good idea to run it in screen anyway, because I'm sure I had it reset on me one time, and it actually did lose the it lost the contents of the screen. So I would say definitely do it with screen, even though what I just did there didn't seem to quite work. Right, so now all of that image is out onto the SDA, and the way we can see if that's the case is if we run fdisk -l, see what's on there, and there we have it. So we got the 3 partitions from the server 2022. So that's it. Oh, and this is another thing I've noticed is that when you're in Weblish, whatever you do, don't shut down from here, because sometimes it causes the user interface to go funny. So the best thing to always do is just to close the window and then come into here and then just power it off. And obviously rebooting is a waste of time, so just power it off. Because if you reboot, all you do is reboot into nothing, because you have to wait for it to shut down. And here's another weird thing. You see here it says shutting down. If you go to the actual Linode, alright, it's too late anyway. When you go back to here, it gives you a progress. When you're in here, it doesn't give you progress, which is a bit weird. So now, the way we have it at the moment, it's not going to boot. So what you have to do is you have to go into, yes, you're at the top here, you have to scroll down, and then you have to go to configurations, and then this is the current one we're on, which is DB11 disk. So what we do is we click on edit, and then so we could, well, should we change it? Yeah, it's too late anyway. So and so now we have to turn it, this one we have to change for power virtualization, because it's not going to boot in this way, to full virtualization. And as it says here, PowerVirt is what you want unless you're doing weird things. So of course they think Windows is weird. I mean, they know that what that statement is. Well, anyway, so now when it comes to boot, select a kernel. We need to go to direct disk. And so once we select direct disk, everything else doesn't really matter. So what we do is you have to go down and then do save changes. And actually you should get rid of that swap image. Yeah, it's kind of a waste of time. Right, so now we've got that changed over, so now it can actually boot into the Windows. And so what we do is just go back up, and then we just, oh no, sorry, yeah, we just do power on. And that, yeah, anyway, like I say, it's annoying here where you can't tell, so it's better to go back to Linode, and then just do power on from here. And it actually gives you a little, see, it gives you this little progress percentage, whereas when you're actually in, if you click into it, you don't get, all it does is the booting is, the orange is just flashing, but there's no percentage. So if you want to know actually how far along in booting it is, you have to actually go out into the list of Linodes, and then you'll get the percentage. Because that certainly helps, especially if you're feeling impatient. Alright, so that's running. So now for the big one, we launch this and let's see what we got. So let me just squash this now. So now this is what you want. You see, it says booting from a hard disk. So as long as it says booting from a hard disk, that's what you want. So if you go to Glitch, we got Windows. And the only problem is, like I say, it's huge. So you'll have to make do with me scrolling this around. As you can see, the main thing is, as long as you've got these spinning wheels, that means you've made it. That's what the spinning wheels literally means, is you've... Oh, okay, now here's the next thing. A lot of people were having this problem where they were trying to work out how to unlock. And so what one person was saying is well, just do sticky keys, because of course you have to press Control or Delete, and they no longer have that option on here. And so if you press Shift a few times or 5 times, it says, do you want to turn on sticky keys? So you press yes. Now I'm supposed to be able to press Control Alt and Delete, so I'm going to try it. And it doesn't work. And so this is why you have to make sure that you definitely did turn on the remote desktop, because without that you're not going to get in. It's because they, as far as I know, there's no way to send the Control or Delete. So you got to make sure your remote, oh yeah, and remote desktop is good. And the other thing is, you can't see it. Let's see if I can get this. Yeah, I just want to show you that the see, you want to make sure you got this little symbol here. As long as that's there, that means you're good to go, and you can use your your remote desktop. So now we've got this IP address. Now all you got to do is just RDP to it. So I'm just putting that into my remote desktop. And here we are connected. So let me just put in whatever password we had. And that's it, we're in. Definitely no, because you're on the internet, so you don't want someone to break in record time. So remember, this is exposed on the internet now, so any bugs Microsoft have left, they're going to come and chop it, be able to chop straight into your server. And so, and just to show that that's the case, just go into settings. Oh yeah, and so I was gonna, well actually let me show you this first then, since I gave that one away. If you go to Device Manager, what you'll find is all that preparation I was doing was a waste of time, because the disk drive is just an ATA device, and all it is just a PCI Busmaster IDE controller. So you don't even need to put any drivers in, because what happens is when you switch that Linode to direct disk access, it downgrades the disk driver to just a Busmaster IDE controller. And of course, even Windows, I don't know, even Windows 98 would support that. Well, would it? Well, at least Windows NT, the original, would support a Busmaster IDE controller. And then the network is just a Pro 1000. I mean, you know, that's going to be supported by even NT as well, isn't it? So all the trouble I went to of putting in the VirtIO, you don't actually need it. But the reason why it's useful is because I think on DigitalOcean, if you try to do this on DigitalOcean, I think they do actually use the VirtIO driver, so you do actually need them there. But on Linode, if you go for a direct disk, then it's just going to be a Busmaster IDE and a Pro 1000, and that's it. So just to be sure, as you can see, yeah, see we've got the IP address 212, so we're there, we're fresh on the internet. So now you might think the job is done, but the way this server is at the moment, it's actually quite useless, or well, reasonably useless, because if we go to disk management, and this is the part where Microsoft is pretty rubbish, you'll notice that we've got the image that I copied on with the drives, and we've got this recovery partition. And so the normal C, if we right click, you can extend volume, shrink volume. So you think, oh, I can just do that with this and move it. So the answer is no, all you get is help. So now this is where the magic part comes, where we have to try to run a magic trick to somehow get this recovery partition to the end. And the thing about it is, I want to bet that you haven't seen anyone do this magic trick before. So what we have to do is, oh yeah, the important thing is, like I keep saying, if you shut down straight from here, for some reason Linode does not like when you shut machines down directly. It prefers for the, yes. So even though I can shut down, it doesn't seem to like when you do that. So if I just disconnect, and what I'm going to do is just go to the Linode, and the thing is, I don't even need to attach any drives for this. All I want to do is just go to rescue. Don't need to attach anything, just the same disk, and I don't care about this swap image. Well, you know, whatever. So we reboot into rescue mode, and then we just wait here while the progress. So you see there's 3% there. We go in, all you get is a yellow blob, but that does not help. But back here, percentage again. So I don't know. Maybe eventually they will put this percentage inside there, because that would make sense. Right. So now, So now we're in, and you might wonder, what has rescue mode got to do with the Windows server? So that's where we'll find out. So now for this, right? So now this is where we've got to do some magic trick to get this to work. So now we're here in Phoenix, and what first we need to do is to update it. And now, if anyone has seen someone do it this way, I'd love to know, because I had to sit down yesterday and think that, yeah, maybe you could do it this way, but I didn't expect it to work, because I thought it would be a bit of a long-winded. So you apt install these items, and this is going into the rescue environment. So you wait for all this to install. Look at that speed, man, 136 megabytes a second. You'd love to have an internet that fast. Let's see what this message says. Avoid loss of user share. Okay. Right, so now we have to create a password for VNC. So let me just put that in. You don't need that. Right, so now we're I think it's at the bottom of the screen. Yeah. So next thing, we have to run a VNC server. So remember, this is in rescue mode. I was testing this just locally, but let me just drop this resolution. I don't know, 102.4, 108, yeah, that will work. Okay, so we run so just telling you how to connect. So that VNC is running on the rescue mode on the internet. And so now all I've got to do is to connect to it. So I'm just putting the information into a VNC viewer. So anyone should know how to. You can look that up easily. So it's just and if you want to know what the IP address is, you can get it from Linode. But just do if. Oh, it doesn't show up. Well, you can go into glish instead. So we do ifconfig. See, so it's 212. So that's my IP address there. So just make a note of that. Let's go back into this. It's annoying the way it changes the size. Right, so yeah, I think something's wrong with that. But anyway, we don't need that part anymore. So if I connect to VNC, so I'm just going to put the password in. And with VNC, the password is 8 characters maximum, because we know good old VNCs from back in the day, isn't it? So if you put more than 8 characters, anything after 8 is ignored. So make sure it's just 8 characters. So there we have a VNC screen on our rescue mode. And the reason why I've gone to all that trouble to get the VNC is because we want to run gparted. So here we have good old gparted. Selected the wrong disk, so we want SDE. So there we have all this space wasted. So now we're going to use the magic, and apparently you can't do this in parted itself, but with gparted you can. So you want this little arrow here, which is the move, and yeah, sorry, you click on the partition first. So this one, click on the little arrow to move it, and then just make sure it's the cross, because you don't want to change its size because that might mess it up. So make sure it's the cross, scroll all the way to the end, click on Resize Move, okay, and then we just click on the little tick for apply. Definitely apply. And what would have taken you forever on the command line gets done in a second or so, just by clicking a few, and that's it. So we've done that. So G parted, quit. And so like I say, so the job is done, so we can get out of here. So we just exit that. And like I say, don't waste your time rebooting on here to make it confused. Just close that, and then we got to do is just reboot. So now we wait till it gets to 100%, and then we try connecting again. Alright, so that's running. So let's see if Windows we can contact it yet. Yeah, no, it takes it. I think so it's up, but it takes Windows a bit of time to boot. So we can check the console to make sure it's booting. Yeah, so it's still going through. So you have to wait till you get here. Right, yeah, so we should be able to get in now. Right, so there. So after the magic. Right, so we're on now, and I'll show you what that magic has done. So you go to disk management, hey presto, unallocated and good old recovery partition, and it's healthy as well, which is good to know. And then we just right click on there, go to extend, next, finish, job done. And so there you have it. That is the easiest way. What you'll find is other people will be telling you, says, no, it's so hard to do, you got to do this and that. Command line is so horrible, and you know, they'll be crying and saying you just can't do it. But as you can see with your own eyes, it really is a piece of cake. As long as you know how to use a Unix based system, because Unix really is the underpinning of the world. Windows is just there to offer, you know, some nice looking GUIs, but when it comes to how you do things in like the serious world, it's done with Unix, because that's where the, you know, the business is when it comes to getting things done. So as you can see, free space 145 gigs, job done. So now you don't have to go to any other of these nonsense videos telling you that, oh, where they cry, telling you how they can't, you know, do that. Because remember, the way that you normally do it is you do something like put it onto a Windows machine, run something like partition, magic, whatever, but you're on a Linode here, so you can't get your fancy Windows program to run on a Linode, can you? So that's where the good old Unix based gparted comes in to get the job done. And hopefully, you know, I know it's only going to be a couple of, or a few people watching this video, but hopefully those few people have learned something useful from this, and now know that you can, oh yeah, one thing I completely forgot. I was telling you about this first video earlier, where this guy was saying about how it was easy peasy. I almost forgot that. So he says very easy method where you go, and yeah, it's easy, a lot shorter than what I just did there. So let me just, yeah, so we finish with this. So yeah, I'm going to show you. So, alright, so he said very easy method. So if we, thing is, I don't think it makes me let me create another Linode. Let's see what it says, because sometimes it doesn't let you do it. Well, it lets me in here anyway, so that's all I need. So you might think, oh, let me just create a nice Windows whatever. So what it is, you've got these stack scripts, and that's what he used. So you think, yeah, you know, I'll just get a community one, let them do all the work for me. I remember the one where he says, you know, for Windows, so let's try that. Yeah, so see this was the one he clicked on, wasn't it? And notice it's got this interesting thing beside it saying deprecated. So now let's click on it and see what happens. Where is it? Oh, sorry, yeah, actually I made a mistake. What am I doing? I need to cancel this. Yeah, what it is, sorry, yeah, it's here, stack scripts, because you can't read it there. So if you go to this community stack scripts, and then if you just do Windows, right, so you see this nice F Villa in Windows, it says deprecated, so you might be happy and think, yeah, you know, I can just install my Windows and look, 3010 deploys. But now, click on it, and you scroll down, and it tells you what the script is. And guess what? The script is deprecated. So that's what it is. So what that essentially means is that this doesn't work anymore. So this poor video is just a waste of time. So all those, so anyone who views it now, it's just not going to work, unfortunately for them. And there are some other scripts which do work. And I think, yes, you got this one. And to know how it works, you can actually read it because it's just a bash script. So notice it says here, so this will get, so this TI for IT top. So this is the one that I've noticed some of them using. And yeah, you can use it, but that's only if you want to splash some cash, because it's tiny installer. Yeah, so it lets you, like, you know, install. But if we go to pricing, so the free one, you can download one image. Now here's the important thing about one image. If I go over it, it's actually Windows 2012, so that's it. You can't do any other newer ones, so that's for free. So now, if you go to the one which is, I think that's 10 cents, I presume. It's got 6 images. So now, okay, you've got the evaluation ones, you've got the 2022s, the data center. But notice the interesting thing. Remember, when I did the compression with XZ, it was 4, is it still there? Yeah, so it's 4027 megabytes. So that's literally just on 4 gigs. So I compressed it down to 4 gigs. But with this guy, their their 2022 data center is 11 gigs. So big difference. So yes, this way of doing it is nice, but I think given the choice between copying across 4 gigs and 11 gigs, there's a big difference, I can assure you. And so that's 10. So 10 cents gets you like a huge. So you got 20 cents. Okay, lots more images. But look how huge they are, because they're all gzip as far as I know. Because everyone seems to love using gzip to zip up the images, and I don't know why. I mean, we know we're a little bit in the future now. Well, things have advanced now. We do have things like XZ and Z standard, you know, and LZ4. So things have moved on since gzip, but for some reason these guys have just been brainwashed with their gzip as if it's the only thing you can ever use, and I don't know why. So there's that. So if you want something newer, then the free one ain't gonna help you, and it's 9 gigs as well, which is pretty big. So now if you alright, so this one, yeah, if you got some cash, this one might be useful for you, and you've got decent bandwidth. So if you go back. And that's why it's good to actually read the scripts to see what you're getting. Because you might end up surprised, you know, when you find that it's not what you expected. So this one, right, this one's pretty, this isn't just pretty complicated, this one's super complicated. This one's good because he actually downloads the ISO directly from Microsoft. So you're actually getting a good to go And see this link here from Microsoft. This actually works. So this is actually quite a good direct one, which will work. But then of course you've got these long scripts, because he's got to turn on the remote desktop, because like I say, the trying to get in through the Lish console just doesn't work. Or the only other well, you could try and disable it, but then if you do an install from an ISO, it's not going to disable the it's not going to disable the Control-Alt-Delete. So the only real way is to make sure it's an image where the remote desktop is on. So I'm just kind of going through these ones just to show you that, yeah, these stack scripts, you can actually use them, and it is an alternative. But of course, you can't customize what is created, because this script is their script that they've produced. So the only option then is to work out how you produce the script yourself, which is going to take you a while. And I think, yeah, so we got all these other ones here as well. But like I say, if you want to use them, it's always a good idea just to go in and click on it and just actually see where they get the image from. Because I think this one's official as well. So so hopefully someone will have found what I was showing here useful. And at least now you've got two options. You can either go for it with the stack scripts, or you can instead go through the process I just showed you of producing the image yourself. And of course the advantage there is that it will work out quicker in terms of how long it takes to the process to happen. And also you be able to create your own custom image with your own things in it, and even if you want to strip it out as well. And hopefully someone will find this video useful.